Okay, hi everybody. First of all, thank you for making the time to this Mastermind Monthly training. For all of you that might know me or don't know me, my name is Frank Monterrosa. I am the product specialist at Orders in Seconds. And what I do is very simple. I specialize helping wholesale distributors to maximize their sales. So today we have an interesting topic. Master your warehouse inventory with OIS Central. So today is going to be a very entertaining monthly training. But before I start explaining the master your warehouse inventory with OIS Central, let me tell you a quick story that happened to me a few months ago. I visited a friend of mine who owns a distribution business. And during our conversation, he started sharing some challenges that they were facing with the inventory management. One particular incident stood out. A customer has placed an order. Look, this what I'm explaining, it may happen to you before. So one customer had placed an order for a specific quantity of products. So basically they needed those products badly. But what happened is this: distribution center sent out fewer items that they requested because they believe they didn't have enough stock in the warehouse. So what happened is this: the customer ended up, calling my friend, the owner of the company, complaining about, what happened. In what happened is this: later on that day, one of the managers was walking through the aisles, and he discovered that there was actually more products available. And my friend was telling me, "Hey, look, Frank, this type of thing happens very frequently in the warehouse." So if you notice, what happened is this: they ended up sending fewer items than what they have requested before, and the customer just called my friend really angry. And I started asking questions to the business owner on how they manage the warehouse. And at the end, what I ended up explaining is this: that the oversight was due to the warehouse not being well organized, which led to the item misplaced or mislabeled. They don't have labels. So that's one of the things that, the pickers, whenever they're picking the items, they don't know what where the items are. And this type of disorganization often results in significant inventory discrepancies between what you have in inventory, or what you have in the system, what you have in the actual stock on hand. So these discrepancies can seriously affect your business. Stock hours where there's not enough inventory to fulfill customers' orders can lead you to lose and damage your customer relationship. And the other thing that could happen when you don't have right labels and those type of things, where management of the warehouse, is that you may end up on overstocking, where there's more inventory than what you need, and then this ties up the valuable capital and increases its storage cost. So I start explaining this to my friend, and some of the things that we're going to be covering today are related to what I explained to him. So today, guys, this is what we have. This is today's topic. We're going to be covering 3 essential things. So the first one is we're going to discover the OIS Central, how the inventory workflows work, their functionality, what are the best practices to do for wholesales and distributors. And also we're going to be doing physical inventory, right? How do you do adjustment? How do you receive merchandise? How you can keep right inventory into your warehouse. And the third topic that we're going to be covering is how sales and inventory impact your sales your invoices, your credit memos and return. You should know how does that affect your inventory. We're going to be covering that in details. And at the end, we're going to leave enough space for Q&A questions. So if you guys have any questions during the presentation, make sure you type it in on the chat so that way we can cover at the end and get all your questions answers. So everybody can hear me okay? Let me know.
Yes, we can hear you well. Yep, you're doing
Okay,
good.
perfect. Okay, so this is basically what we're going to be covering. The OIS Central and inventory management workflow. Look, before I start showing you how the entire inventory workflow works, I need to clarify this. If you guys are using QuickBooks or using Sage or any other ERP system, you got to make a decision to where you're going to be managing your inventory. So what I'm saying is this: if you already have an ERP system, an accounting system, my suggestion is to work all the inventory management into your system. So what the OIS Central system would do is this: will connect with your system and it will bring all that information that you have for the inventory, meaning all the receiving, all the physical inventory that we're going to be covering today should be done in your system. So that's really important for the ones that are using, let's say, DSD, direct store delivery. This is going to be really crucial for you guys because this is another way. Even though if you have already your accounting or ERP system, you will be able to manage the different warehouse for your truck drivers. That's really important. And the other thing is this that you should consider. Remember that QuickBooks and any other ERP system, sometimes they have limitations, right? Because they haven't specifically been designed for the distribution business. So that's where the OIS Central system becomes the right complement of your system. And in some cases, the businesses decide to do or to manage the inventory management with the central system. What could be those cases? Well, if you're managing like lot numbers, expiration dates, warehouse location, those type of things, usually you don't have it on your system like QuickBooks, right? If you're dealing with those type of things, maybe later on you can type in on the chat and we can do like a discovery call to go into the details and find out if managing the inventory in Central will be the right thing for you guys. Okay, so that's really important, knowing the workflow. This is what we're going to be covering. So the OIS Central Inventory Management Workflow. So first of all, we're going to be covering, or understanding how the OIS Central workflow and functionality. That's so important because if you know how to use the tool, you will be able to take advantage on the inventory workflow. The second thing is, we're going to be seeing the details steps involved in managing inventory in OIS Central. And at the end, we're going to be reviewing the best practices for efficient tracking and management. So that's really important. Now, let's go into the details. This is really important. And this is not only, I want to make a parenthesis right here. This is not only if you're doing inventory management in OIS Central. This could be helpful if you're doing inventory management in your system, right? In QuickBooks, in Sage, whatever on the other ERP system or accounting system you're using. So the first thing is have a clean and current inventory. Look, by having a clean and current inventory data, it's so crucial for wholesale distributors, as enables them to operate efficiently and meet customers' demands effectively. So one of the things that you should always consider is this: always remove obsolete data. I know so many businesses that that I keep telling them, hey, if you have an item that you don't longer sell it, remove it, because you don't want to have that data affecting your system. I have no businesses that they have hundreds, not a few, hundreds of items that they don't longer sell it and they keep it on the database. That's just wasting your time, and you don't have a clean data. So my recommendation is this: regularly update the database to remove obsolete and outdated inventory records. So have a person, right? Do that at least once a month, twice a month, based on how big your database is. And the second thing that you should consider on this is validate entries. So I know a lot of businesses that sometimes, because they're in the rush, whenever they get the merchandise from the vendors, they just start typing in, that information incorrectly. So make sure that all the data are validated against purchase orders, right? Sales and returns. Because if you don't have that data, the data entry correctly, you're gonna end it up in big headaches. And the third thing is this: standardized data formats. It's crazy that I continue seeing customers that are mid-sized businesses that they have different formats of the customers and the products, right? So my suggestion on this is use standardized data formats to maintain consistency across all the records. So if you have a customer, say the customer, you go customer's name, customer's address, customer phone number, make sure that you have a standardized format. Do not allow people to start putting garbage in it, because it's going to become a big headache, right? So that's when having a clean and current inventory. So the second thing is perform a physical inventory at least once a year. Look, that's so important. I know a lot of businesses that they don't do this. And by doing this physical inventory at least once a year, you have to do it at least once a year, so that way you have an accurate inventory. And that's why sometimes the discrepancies start getting, because you're not doing this. And based on the size of your warehouse, you may do it twice a year. So my recommendation is to do it at least once a year. And the third thing is this: perform a cycle count on fast moving products most frequently. So this is the thing: besides creating a physical inventory once a year or twice a year based on the size of your warehouse, you can also have identified, what are the categories, what are the products that are getting sold the most, what are the, they're moving so fast. You should conduct or perform regular cycle counts to verify inventory levels and adjust discrepancies, because that could happen. Whenever whenever you're receiving merchandise and you're selling a lot of those items, discrepancies may be right there, and that's why you should perform regular cycle count. Another great strategy that I always suggest is to do this: spot checks. What is a spot checks? Is this: once in a while, you can have your warehouse manager perform a random spot checks on high value and fast moving item. Meaning, if the Coca-Cola or this item, it gets to move really quickly. So you can have randomly once a while, do a random spot checks to make sure that you have the right data on the system, and that's exactly the right data that you have on hand. So that will help you a lot to reduce what's going on in the warehouse, right? So now let's go ahead and go straight to the physical inventory. So one of the things that we're going to be covering at the beginning is this: how to make a physical inventory in adjustment. So give me just a second. Let me do this quickly, just a second. Good. Let me show you my screen again, and let me know if you are seeing. Okay, just to confirm, are you guys able to see my screen again?
Yes, I'm seeing the PowerPoint, the Google slide.
Okay, perfect. That's what I want. So again, so we're gonna, we're gonna go into actions right now, see how it works. So first thing, we're gonna be covering how to make physical inventory and adjustment. So one of the things is this, we're gonna go to the OIS Central system, knowing that you're gonna be managing the inventory in OIS Central system. So what you need is user and password, right? Once you have your credentials ready and you log in, you're gonna go ahead and open the Central system. The system will give you full visibility of what's going on with the business. So one of the things that you should do before you start doing any physical inventory is this: go to your products, right? So like in this case, let me select the second product, Heinz ketchup, right? So if I click on it, I gotta make sure this. See what it says inventory? First of all, the product needs to be categorized as an inventory item. How do we know that this is an inventory item? See where it says keep inventory? If it has the check mark, that means that in Central, this item has been categorized as an inventory item. The other thing is this: associate what is the warehouse or the main warehouse where that item belongs. Remember, in our system, on the Central system, has the capability to manage multiple warehouses. So make sure you have associated the item with the main warehouse, so that way you keep the right inventory. The second thing is this, or the third thing is this: specify where is the warehouse location, right? Like in this case, the system has the flexibility to start creating the different inventory location. So in this case, I'm gonna leave it the way that it is, but that's something that you should double check before you do any adjustment or any physical inventory. So what you do is this: you go to see where it says warehouse. When you go to the warehouse, you have two ways that you can do physical inventory. One way is do it manually, right? And if you're gonna do a physical inventory with not too many items, this is a good way to do it, right? So what you do is this: you go to the warehouse, you scroll down all the way to where it says adjust physical inventory. Like in this case, let's take as an example this one. If you notice, this one, it says that it has in stock 0, meaning that item do not have any availability right now. So if I go, let me choose the item. If I go to the item and adjust a physical inventory, what I'm going to do is this: I'm going to type in the item, and it's telling me again that the inventory on hand that I have is 0. So if I put 100, that's what I have physically. I went out, I started counting how many I have physically. That's exactly what I'm gonna do right here. If I click on, let me move this something. If I click on add, this item is gonna be added, and then I can go ahead and say, hey, look, I'm going to approve exactly this item. So I can continue on and keep on adding more items, right? Once you're done, again, if you're dealing with so many items, doing this manually could become a headache, right? Unless you're doing cycle count, meaning that you're going to be just doing a few items for the categories that you are interested in on updating that information, you could do it this way. The other way that you can do it is this. The other way that you can do it is this. If you come to the warehouse again, let me just go ahead and update this. Okay, so again, what you do is this: you come to the Central system, right? And then see on the left upper corner where it says warehouse, click on the warehouse, and it'll take you to the warehouse menu, right? So right here you have another option. So if you click on the warehouse menu, you can scroll all the way down to where it says inventory, import inventory. So if you have done physical inventory and you have everything ready, you have already collected all that information, and you have it in an Excel sheet, it will be easier maybe for you guys to do the physical inventory. So like in this case, if you have already the format and have already updated that information, just click on choose a file. And by just choosing the file, you will be able to select what is the document that you're going to be updating. Like in this case, I'm going to be selecting that one document to update my physical inventory. And by associating the document, just click on next, and then you're gonna do this. See what it says item code? You're gonna be relating, right? The item code with the item code, the quantity, the new quantity that you're gonna be updating, also the warehouse. I remember that I was telling you, you may have multiple warehouses. So like in this case, make sure that you select the right warehouse that you're going to be updating, because you may end up doing, updating the wrong warehouse, the employee that is conducting the inventory. And also see what it says right there, reset. You can say, hey, look, I did the entire physical inventory, but some of the items that I don't have on the Excel sheet, I will be able just to put that check mark and it will update it on zero stock. So that's another way to do it. So let's find out what happened to that item. If I go again to the Hanes SketchUp, if you notice, you will be seeing the inventory, it's already updated. It's 100. Why is that? Because every time that you do an adjustment, that you do a physical inventory, the system will leave you the adjustment that you have done. So like in this case, I went to the adjustment, right? And this is the one that I just did today. If I click on it, it will double check that the quantity that I updated, it was 100, which is exactly what I have on the inventory. So that's one thing. So now that we know that two different ways that you can update inventory, let's go to the second thing, how to accurately receive inventory and update records. So again, I'm gonna take you to the item to double check certain things that are important. So again, I'm gonna use the same item as an example, and what I'm gonna do is this: I'm gonna go to the vendor side. So make sure that an item has always associated their vendor, because if you have the item but the item is not associated with the vendor, you will not be able to do a receiving or create a purchase order to your vendor. So like in this case, it's already associated, right? Like in this case, I have this vendor name 170 Food Bazaar, which is the one that usually sells me this Heinz ketchup. So once I have validated that, what I'm going to do is this. Remember, receiving could be done in two different ways. I can go ahead and create an order, a purchase order, right? Once I receive the purchase order, I can do a receiving from a purchase order. But some of the businesses, especially the small and mid-sized businesses, they don't create a purchase order. They just pick up their phone and say, hey, can you send me 5 cases of this, 10 cases of this? Usually that's what happens. So if that is your case, what you're going to do is this. You're going to come to the warehouse, see where it says receive. It has a plus sign. So if I click on the receive, first of all, what I need to do is identify the vendor, right? The vendor that I'm going to be doing the receiving, meaning that if you're going to be doing a receiving, you already have the invoice, right? Because a receiving for you guys is an invoice for your vendor. So you got the invoice, and you're going to specify where it says reference number. You should put the invoice number that you have already right there with you, right? That's the invoice number. And then you're going to say, who's going to be receiving this merchandise? It's going to be well, like in this case, the OIS demo account. And again, right here, when you click on the drop-down menu, you will find all the items that are related to that specific vendor. A question may come up. Can an item could be associated with multiple vendors? Yeah, the answer is yes, right? So like in this case, this Heinz ketchup, remember how many we had in inventory? 100, right? So like in this case, if I say I'm going to be receiving, because that's exactly what I have on the invoice, 75. Now, if I had already 100 in hand, and if I have 75 on the new receiving on this invoice that I'm getting, receiving, I'm sorry. If I click on save, look, my inventory is going to be updated. So there's two ways that inventory could be affected, by doing a physical inventory or by doing a receiving. So now let's find out what's happened with that one item. Remember, I should have 175, 100 for the physical inventory and 75 for the one that I just received from the vendor. So let's go to the items, right? This is one way to check if, let me see if did I receive it correctly? Well, that's another thing. You should always make sure that you receive it correctly. Let's go ahead and find out, right? Like in this case. But I don't know, it's easy. It's easy if you notice what's going on. So first of all, let me go to the warehouse again. Find out if I have the right item updated, right? Like in this case, I'm going to go to the receiving that I did. Okay. No, look, the receiving that I did, it never was registered. Let's find out what happened. Let's go ahead and create the receiving again. Let's choose the vendor, right? Let's select the item, like in this case, the Heinz ketchup, right? Let's put 75. Let's select the whoever is going to be receiving the invoice number that you should always have it. And also, if you notice what happened is this, I never added it. I don't know if you guys notice it. I never added it. You should always double check whenever you're doing the receiving. See, right now, I just added it. It should work. So if I click on save, new receipt has been generated. Notice is the 1250, that one has already been updated. So if I go to the item, now I should have the quantity on hand of 175. Let's go ahead and find out. Let's go to the item. Let's go to the inventory. Okay. Okay, in that case, I guess this is the demo account. For some reason, it's not updating it. But let's go ahead. That's the way that you do it, right? That's the way that you do it. So now, how do we handle discrepancies between physical accounts and system records? So usually, you know, when you find out that what you have physically is totally different what you have in the system, what you should do is this. You should do a physical account again to start all over again and say, hey, the starting point is whatever you have physically again, and then you start whenever you're doing the physical of the product, you should put in a note. The reason that we're doing the physical is because there was a discrepancy between this quantity and this quantity. So that way you start all over again, making sure that you always have the right inventory. So that's really important. Now let's go ahead and know how sales and inventory management, how, you know, invoices, credit will be affecting your inventory. So in this case, we're going to be covering this. Understanding how sales transaction affects inventory levels, the role of credit transactions in inventory management, that's so crucial, and strategies for reconciliating sales data with inventory records. Let's go ahead and find out how sales and credit are affecting inventory. So it's really simple, like following the example that we have right there. Let me check something quickly right here before I do anything. Let me just update this. Let me go ahead and check the items again and see that I have, okay, that I have 100. Okay, the reason that may be causing the discrepancies that I'm having right here is because this demo account may be tied up with the accounting system. And remember, guys, that I was explaining to you guys that in order to in order to have the inventory management well organized, needs to be done either in Central or in your system. That might be the reason that the receiving is not affecting the inventory because it's tied up with QuickBooks. But that's another thing that we should cover later on. So look, now if I go to the item, like in this case, the physical count, it's already right there. Let me grab this item, right? If I go ahead and I create an order or an invoice, look, if I say that I'm gonna be creating an invoice for that item that I just selected, let me select any customer, right? Like in this case, let me just type in this one right here, this item, and let me put the quantity. Like in this case, I would say that that's gonna be 50. And it's going to be added, right? This is the hand SketchUp that I'm selling to a customer. So like in this case, I went straight to create an invoice, and that invoice is going to be saved. So by saving this invoice, at that moment, the inventory was affected right there, because inventory affects invoices, I'm sorry, affects inventory directly, right? It gets affected right away. So like in this case, the inventory has already been done. So what's going to happen? Let's see if it affects the inventory levels that I had on that one item. Let's go ahead and check. Hold on, let me pull the items. Let's go to the hands. Okay, now if you notice, I had physically 50 and I saw 50, right? So like in this case, it deducted the inventory because again, invoices affect inventory right away. Once the invoice is created, it affects inventory. So the other thing is this, how credit, transaction, and inventory management gets affected, affects the inventory. So whenever you're doing a credit, remember, credits could be done from the mobile app. They generate the credit. And whenever you come to the transactions right here where it says credit, and you are creating a credit, again, this could come directly from the sales mobile app. Look, whenever you're creating a credit, make sure that you are selecting, like in this case, if I select the same item, right, the hand SketchUp, whenever you're creating that credit, you should pay attention to this. Look, let me just put a credit of 1 and added that credit. See where it says right there that it has the discount. Let me see. Whenever you're creating that credit, you should pay attention to this. The quantity, let me make it a little bit smaller. Okay, you got the stop, the deposit and everything. So you should be able to establish what is the reason that you're creating the credit for. So like in this case, if the credit that you're creating, it's in different status. Remember, they're different type of credits, right? They're credits that could be damaged items. If those items are damaged, they shouldn't go back to your inventory. See what it says right there? When I click edit on, right there, it has an option that is called status, right? So this status is so important because this is how the inventory is going to be affected. If it is a return, meaning that you have that item, that you checked it and you're going to return it to the inventory. So it will affect you. If you have 100 and you're returning 1, you're going to have 101. But if you say, hey, look, the product is damaged, the product is expired, it's lost, it's missing, none of those are going to be affecting your inventory because you cannot sell that item anymore and it shouldn't go back to your inventory. So the inventory type or status is so important whenever you guys are creating the credit. And this is a parenthesis, right? In QuickBooks, this could be handled in different way. And I believe in Sage as well. But in order to do that, if you guys are struggling with this type of thing, with the credit, how to handle a credit and how that is affecting my inventory, and you're doing inventory management in QuickBooks or Sage or any other ERP system, make sure you type in on the chat, and later on we can go ahead and tell you how could that be done, so that way it does affect your inventory the right way, right? So now to be finishing, this is basically what we're gonna be doing, right? On pre-sales, this is so important. Whenever you're doing pre-sales, maintain a real inventory awareness. What is that? Remember, the neither QuickBooks and I believe Sage, based on what version of Quick or Sage you're using, you're gonna have what is called on-hand inventory and available inventory. Available is when you have, let's say, 100 on hand and you have already compromised let's say 50 on a sales order. So basically what the sales rep or the pre-sales should have access to is only 50, because you already, that's your availability that you have into the system. That's something that could be done with our system. If you guys are struggling with those type of things, again, you can chat, you can put on the chat that you need help on that area, and we're going to be able to do a discovery call to find out how you have it set up and give you the right information. And the last thing is this: if you guys are doing direct store delivery, DSD, and you are not managing inventory for each of the truck, we can help you with. Why? Because in our system, we have the capability to create different multiple warehouses and associate each of the warehouse to each of the truck driver, so that way we can keep inventory of what's loaded into the truck and what they're supposed to bring you back in order to do a reconciliation. In Central System, once you have already created the different warehouses and associated to the truck driver, you will be able to run certain reports, right? Like in this case, see what it says, end of day report. That will give you the full information of what it has been loaded, what they're supposed to bring you back, so that way you have full reconciliation in it. Again, if you guys are using DSD and are not using this type of inventory management, let us know. We can help you with and make sure that you're using the inventory the right way. Okay, so I hope what I have already explained makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, this is the right time for you guys to ask. So I'm gonna leave it to whoever has any questions. Clara, do we have any question listed or?
Let me see. Hold on 1 second. I was just putting that reminder in the chat. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we have a few questions here. I can share with you now. Just give me a second.
Sure.
All right. Okay. First question. Do you have a report that tells you the products on hand and out of stock? So
Okay.
do you have a report that tells you products that are on hand or out of stock?
Okay, look, on the reporting section, we have two types of reports. Like in this case, this is the demo account. If something doesn't come up the right way, it's because it has a lot of garbage, because we use it to play with it. So like in this case, look, we have something called stock status. So when you go to the stock status, you have you can go ahead and say, hey, look, generate the report from this date to this date. The other thing is this. See what it says, item type. You can specify what is the item. You can also specify what is the warehouse that you would like to check, and also the items. Let me go ahead and generate this report. So I'm pulling a report. Look, right there it's telling me in stock and out of stock. All the ones that it has. 0 means that you don't have it out of stock. So what you can do in this case is this: you can export this data to Excel, and on the Excel, just remove or just put a filter, right? All the ones that have on hand 0 means that you don't have it on stock, and all the ones that have the quantity are the ones that you have in stock. But if you would like to have everything automated, we have another session called custom report. So custom report is we can come up with any report that you may need, the way that you need it, apply the different filters, and we will be able to give you the right report that you're looking for. So the answer is yes, we do have it. You can export it and then extract, the in stock or out of stock. Or if you want to have like a custom report, we can work together and give you the right information that you're looking for. Any other questions,
Perfect,
Clara?
perfect. Yes, I have another question for you. All right, if a sales rep in the field sends a credit return, right? Can someone in the office approve it before it affects the inventory count?
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's exactly the way that it works. Usually the one who creates the credit is the person that is out there in the field, because he is the first filter, right? He needs to double check that the damaged product that they're telling you, that they're giving you, you got to double check that it is actually damaged, is missing return. You're going to specify what is the status of that credit that you generated and send it over to the main office. On the main office, see what it says right here, credit. If I click on it, I will be able to double check what are the credits on the status of pending. So let me show you this. See what it says, credit. See, we have something called pending in approvals. So pending in approval, meaning that the sales rep generated the credit, send it over to the central system, and someone in the office will double check that actually the credit is going to go return, it's going to be missing, or it's going to be generating a credit. So like in this case, what you do is this, you establish the reason that you're doing the credit. You can also void it, right? You say, hey, look, that's not going to be applied. And if you click on approve fulfill, that credit is going to be generated. That's the way that it is. You send it over and someone in the office approves it or void it.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you for that answer, Frank. And I have another question for you in the chat from Fami, I believe. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. Can physical count be done with handheld scanners on OIS inventory?
Well, that's a great question. That's a great question. Look, the answer is yes. Remember, the OIS as orders
and receiving. I'm sorry, Frank. One more, and he said, and also receiving. He said.
Oh,
so
okay.
And also receiving.
Let me explain this because this is a great question. Remember, the OIS solutions has different solutions, right? We have solutions for the pre-sales, DSD, and also we have solutions for warehouse management. So if you guys are interested in managing the warehouse with pistols, let me see if I have one right here so that way I can, like in this case, look, I don't know if you guys are seeing it. This is a pistol, right? This is a gun. You can use tablets and everything. The thing is this, with the OIS inventory, we're doing some enhancement. We already have a solution that do physical inventory, receiving, picking, and fulfillment. But the thing is this, we are migrating everything from the old technology to the new technology. Now with the new OIS inventory, we have already enhanced all the picking and fulfillment functionality with barcode scanner, with Android, Apple, any devices. And also the next step is do receiving in physical inventory. So if you guys are interested on that area, make sure that you leave your contact information so that way I can give you a call and tell you what's going on how that could be done. But yes, the answer is yes. We're going to get to that point. We already have a solution that is doing it, but we're migrating everything to the new technology.
Awesome. All right. So Fami, I hope that answered your question. And then quickly, we have one more. We're going to have one more question in here in the Q&A. If OIS Central is set up as the main inventory management system, can I still use the physical adjustment to update other warehouses that had also been created on OIS Central. So,
Oh yeah, definitely. Remember, the OIS Central system has the capability to have multiple warehouses. So whenever you're doing a physical inventory, you're gonna have to select where you're gonna be doing the physical inventory. Is it gonna be done on the main warehouse, on the secondary warehouse, or it could be if you're doing DSD, direct store delivery, you could do the physical inventory for the warehouse truck, right? That's become a warehouse. Yeah, but you need to specify where you're going to be doing the physical inventory, the cycle count, or the suggestion that I was giving you that you can go randomly and do a spot check. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Frank. So that's the end of the Q&A. So we can continue with the presentation, Frank.
Perfect. So
Thank you,
I
guys.
got good news. Remember that OIS, orders in seconds, is always thinking how we're gonna generate value to our customers. So again, if you guys would like to learn more or schedule a 15-minute meeting with me, you can go ahead and click on the chat. There's gonna be a link right there. You can have visibility of my calendar and schedule a 15-30 minutes demo or discovery call to find out what your necessities are, and then we can, we can give you the right information. And this is interesting for all of you. You guys are the first one to know this information. A new solution is coming soon. Look, it's called the OIS delivery. For all of you that have been around, you guys know that we are automating pretty much everything since the order gets started from the sales rep or from the customer, because we do have the B2B mobile app to submit the order until it gets to the warehouse for picking and fulfillment, and you send it over to the delivery guy. So we're gonna be able to cover from the beginning to the end of the transaction. So the new delivery app is coming soon. So if you guys are struggling with the delivery, that you don't know where the deliveries are, or if you're dealing a lot with return, whenever you have already printed the invoice and when you given the invoice, a physical invoice to them, they returning item, that becomes a really big headache. This is the right solution for you guys. We're gonna be, we're gonna be making noise on this thing. But if you guys would like to know more, you still can, go to the link and schedule a demo with me. We already have the solution. We're just testing it with real customers. But if you guys are interested in knowing more about the OIS delivery, I should be able to give you more information in detail, find out exactly what your necessities are, and then we're gonna take it from there. So again, I would like to thank you so much for attending our mastermind training. Remember, if you have a specific topic that you would like to cover on the next session, we're gonna try to do monthly training every month, twice, every 2 months, depending on how frequently we're getting suggestion for you guys in topics that you guys are suggesting. We're gonna be covering those on those monthly training. So again, you can contact me at any time. My email, frankm@ordersinseconds.com, or you can call me directly to the number listed right here, extension 150, and I will be more than happy to, to give you answers. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, Frank, I just had one more thing. I just wanted to, before we end, so just to let you guys know, so with the email, we're going to be sending out emails for the new app reveal. So, keep your eyes open when you check your inbox, because they're going to be sending out emails about that. And then at the end of this webinar, once you guys exit, there is a survey afterwards. So if you guys had any ideas that you wanted for new trainings, make sure that you're entering it in that survey after the webinar, okay?
Thank you so much again. Your time is so valuable for us, and that's why we keep on doing this, because we are generating value to your business. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.